Hi there guys, so we are here at Campervan Campout. We're set up on our display vehicle pitch, and tomorrow, what are we going to be doing?
We are going to be giving a talk right here on stage to quite a big audience, I think.
Oh, look at this. Crazy. First time doing a talk.
First time at a festival.
I know,
well.
It's all new for us. So we're going to have a walk around, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy our talk as well. So yeah, I'm Rick.
And I'm Kira, and along with our 3 kids, we've got Piper, who is 7, Jack, who is 5, and Teddy, who is 2. We travel full-time in our camper van and share our adventures on YouTube and Instagram as touring with the kids.
That's right. So before we get on to Norway, we just thought we'd give you a little sort of brief history of how we got started. So back in 2018, we were living in southwest Scotland, and we just wanted something extra from life, you know, work all the time and paying the mortgage, all the rest. We wanted something extra. We didn't know what it was, and we looked at all sorts of things, moving away, moving to Australia. And then Kira came out with, very jokingly came out with,
let's just sell up and go traveling.
Yeah, and at first I laughed and I said, yeah, we can't do that. You know, that's impossible. But it then sort of made sense, and that's what we did. We sold our house, and without knowing anything about motorhomes, never even hearing the term van life before, we found this motorhome. It's a Reimer Seal 9. It's 7 berth. We found that locally, so we bought it, not knowing really how anything worked. And we spent 5.5 months, 5.5 months traveling through 10 countries, clocking 14,000 miles, on this incredible road trip.
We did. We had the most amazing time creating the most amazing memories, and we thought that would be it, to be honest. We thought that we'd get it out of our system, we'd come back to normal life. So we did. We bought a house again, Rick started back at work, the kids started up at school, and I stayed home looking after our newest addition, Teddy.
And then COVID hit, and we all went into lockdown. And at this point, we got that urge to get back out on the road, have that adventure once again. And so we bought this old builder's van. It's a 2016 Citroen Relay, long wheelbase. And that's what it looked like when we bought it. And we turned it into a camper van for weekends, school holidays, and that sort of thing.
We did, but it wasn't long before we got itchy feet once again and decided that we wanted to sell up and travel full-time. So at this point, we had to make some changes to the van to make it more suitable for full-time van life. So we added the pop top to give us 2 extra sleeping spaces, and we also changed a bit of the seating area, a few bits like that, and we moved in July last year.
Yep. So that's a little brief history of us. Now on to Norway. Just a quick show of hands. Who's actually been to Norway in their motorhome? Oh, a few of you. Who would like to go to Norway? Okay, most of you. Yeah, don't blame you.
So we actually have been to Norway twice now, once in 2019 and again last year in 2022. So both times we have travelled all the way from the south to the top, North Cape, which is also known as Nordkapp. That is the highest point of mainland Europe. It is an amazing country to motorhome in. There are so many places to wild park or free places to park up. Amazing facilities too, so that's really easy. And there's just amazing landscapes everywhere you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so getting there. So we came over from Harwich to the Hook of Holland, through the Netherlands, Germany, Denmark. And then this time round, last year, we took the ferry from Hirtshals on the northern Denmark coast over to Larvik in Norway. If you don't like choppy seas, probably best to take the bridge from Denmark to Sweden, because it was incredibly rough, really was. And another quick thing is to go to Norway, if you've got a dog, you do need to get them tapeworm treated before you go over. We did that in Denmark. It cost us about 30 quid. If you don't do it and you get caught, there's big fines, or you have to leave, basically. So we arrived in Larvik and we started traveling along the south coast, and our first point of call was Kragerø. Fantastic little town, wood-clad buildings, everything sort of Norway is like in the pictures. And then we stopped at one of Kira's favourite park-ups in Feeder.
Yeah, this place I really loved. So basically, when we were in Denmark before, the weather was shocking. It was raining. And so second day of Norway, we were here, and the sun was shining. It was warm, so that lifted all our spirits. And we had this amazing view right there of the fjord. So had a little table outside so we could eat outside in the evening, had a few drinks outside. And then in the morning again, we were outside having our breakfast.
Yeah, no, it was a really amazing stop. And then we went to Stavanger, which is a city sort of in the southern fjords. The first stop just outside the city is the Spotty Fell monument. These three swords represent the unification of Norway. Really, really impressive. I forgot how high they are, but you can get a little bit of an idea. There's also a free motorhome park up opposite that, and at night all the lights come on and it all gets illuminated. It really is something special. Another really cool thing in Stavanger is the most colourful street in Norway. It's absolutely beautiful, and there's lots of graffiti art. It's not like the graffiti we get here in the UK. It's actually really, really nice, beautiful stuff. We actually timed this a bit wrong with a P&O cruise ship, and the whole thing was flooded with Brits, which, but never mind.
Yeah, so moving on to what Norway is really known for, and you've got the waterfalls. Now, these are amazing, and we visited a total of 6 waterfalls in the southern fjords, so it was a bit of a waterfall trail. This one you can see here is Steindalsfossen, so you can actually walk right behind it, which is really special, unique. The kids absolutely loved it. You do get a little bit wet, but do what we did, and it's a good tip is, we got there late in the day. We avoided going to see the waterfall. You can stay the night for free, basically, in the car park. And then we got up really early the next day so we could have it all to ourselves.
Yeah, these places get really busy during the day with the coaches of tourists. So, yeah, go see it early. Another cool waterfall is Vollungfossen. This one's a totally different perspective because the viewing platforms are actually at the top and you look down into the gorge below. You can also do I think it's quite a big hike, but you can do a big hike all the way down to the bottom. When we were there last August, September, they were doing some improvement works. So there's lots more bridges and stuff like that about the place. This waterfall here is a lesser-known waterfall. I'm not going to pronounce it, but the name of it is on the top there. And this was absolutely stunning.
This one here just absolutely took our breath away. It just felt so monumental just walking up to it. And yeah, this is one of those moments that we're just not going to forget.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. Okay, Bergen. Those of you who know Bergen, it's famous for this old part. It's a UNESCO heritage site on the quay, and you're probably wondering why we've got a picture of Acai. We like free park-ups. We can't afford, basically, to stay at campsites all the time. Acai, you can stay there for free, and they also have a free shuttle bus service into the centre of Bergen. So really good top tip, and you can get hot dogs there, which is a bonus as well. Yeah.
So moving on to the centre of Bergen, you've obviously got the famous fish market there and the old town, like Rick just mentioned, but you've also got the funicular up to the top, so that's a 2-minute journey up to the top there at Mount Florian, and you've got those amazing views down below on the city. And you've got lots of play parks up there as well for the kids, which is obviously a bonus, and you've got a lake where you can actually hire a canoe completely free. So obviously we took advantage of that. And you'll see the troll on the right there. There are trolls everywhere you go in Norway, so they're a great photo opportunity for the kids, and constantly, especially in the major tourist places, you'll just keep seeing them.
Okay, the Lærerdal Tunnel. You might have heard of it. It's the longest road tunnel in the world, 24.5 kilometres or 15 miles long. That's a picture of me and Kira in the middle. It's all illuminated, so that's 7.5 miles under sort of this big mountain. It's a bit boring, to be honest. There's not much scenery in there, as you can imagine, and it's pretty straight. So instead of taking the tunnel, we would say go over the top of the mountain, and you'll reach Stegerstein viewpoint, one of the best viewpoints, in our opinion, in Norway. And you can't see it, but where the people are at the end, it's actually a glass panel that looks right down to the fjord below. And here's Piper and Jack. It's summertime, so we're in shorts and T-shirt, but there is snow up on the top all year, so it's a great place to park and have a snow fight and all the rest.
It is. It's wonderful up there, but do bear in mind that that is a tight mountain road, and there is little to no barrier to get up there. So it was a little bit sketchy, and when we were going up, there was another motorhome coming down, and it was very scary. Rick had to reverse a little bit, didn't you? And that was quite a daunting moment. So if you are a little bit nervous of driving those sort of things, I'd say take the tunnel.
Okay, just the other side of the Lairdale Tunnel, we reached Sognefjord. Sognefjord is the biggest fjord system in Norway, so it is quite big. But this is our favourite park up in all the countries we've ever visited, which is 14. It's just a lay-by, but it's absolutely stunning. And that's it as well.
Yeah, so I'd go as far as saying that this is our best park up in the whole of Europe. So the best lay-by and the best park up we've ever been to. And obviously you can see there, that's the view we've got from our van of the fjord, which is just incredible. We visited this place twice, both 2019 and 2022. And we just loved it. Last year we spent 3 nights there, absolutely free. And you can see porpoise swimming in the water. Now, if you don't know what porpoise are, they look like dolphins, but they're actually part of the whale family.
Yeah, we thought they were dolphins at first. Okay, a glacier. Has anyone actually driven to a glacier in their motorhome? Oh, there was a kid there that put his hand up. Visiting a glacier for us was like a bucket list thing. Like, I just wanted to go there. This is the Niggerspring Glacier. You can actually drive all the way up in your van or your motorhome, good parking spot at the top, and you can catch a little boat ride in a little tender across this glacial lake. There's big chunks of ice floating around, and it's absolutely, the water's freezing cold, as you can imagine. And then you sort of walk across this really strange landscape, which not long ago would have been under ice. Really incredible moment.
It was amazing. And these are also the sort of landscapes we use to help educate the kids. So obviously we are full-time in our van. So we homeschool our children, or road school, unschool, whatever. There's loads of different terms for it, but essentially we homeschool our children whilst we travel. So when we're doing things like this, for example, the glacier, we'd be asking questions like, how are glaciers formed, and like, how might the landscape change in the future? And we don't always know the answers to all of these questions, but we'll get the kids asking questions and sparking their curiosity, and then we'll find out.
Yeah. Okay, so more driving. I love driving routes. I love driving. I think it's fascinating. And this is one of the most famous roads in Norway. It's the Trollstigen Pass, 11 hairpin bends. And you can look at it there, the valley there. It's absolutely stunning. Summer 2019, this is when we first went out in our motorhome. That's our view last year. So the weather in Norway changes every day, every hour. That's the viewpoint, not much view, and this is actually halfway down Trollstigen Pass. Very, very poor visibility. And another famous driving route, voted one of the most scenic in the world, is the Atlantic Ocean Road, and I'm sure you'll agree that looks absolutely phenomenal. These pictures were taken from our drone, and it looks incredible. It's a long way to drive to do this road, in my opinion. It's a totally different perspective when you're actually driving along it. It looks fascinating and incredible from the air, but if you're restricted on time, I wouldn't bother going this far north to do this road. Hit Trollstigen, hit some of the other mountain passes instead.
Yeah, so at this point here from the Atlantic Ocean Road, we had about 12 hours of driving left to our next major sort of milestone point on the journey. And that was the Arctic Circle Centre. Obviously, we have kids, and they don't like the long journeys, as some of you might know. But what we do is we try to entertain them as best as we can, and we have colouring and reading books, and we also have 3 seats in the front, so they'll take it in turns who gets to sit up front, which helps. And then lastly, we resort to sort of tech and let them watch a film if all else fails.
If all else fails, yeah, get the tech out. And then we reach the Arctic Circle. For us, this is part of the adventure, reaching such a sort of a milestone. You can get these certificates for the kids, and Teddy was very kindly given a moose teddy from one of the people there as well. If you do go to this place, there is a museum tucked around the back. Make sure you go in there and watch the short film, because they do a fantastic presentation on going through the seasons of the landscape, and it really does, the weather there really does change. It was 29 degrees at the Arctic Circle Centre the first time we went, which is just remarkable. And then obviously in the winter, it's absolutely full of snow.
Yeah, so from here we made our way onto the Lofoten Islands, catching a ferry from Bodo to Moskenes.
So the Lofoten Islands are an archipelago coming out of Norway on the west coast. And it's, as you can see, it's absolutely phenomenal. The mountains just rise out the Atlantic Ocean. It's absolutely brilliant. The sandy beaches are absolutely gorgeous, and the clear waters are phenomenal. We did try the first time round because it was very hot to go swimming, and then we chickened out when the water got to our knees because it was just too cold. But maybe if you guys go, you can brave it a little bit more.
Yeah, so there is this one thing we would say about the Lofoten Islands is that there are some major hikes and lots of adventurous things to do, sort of sea kayaking, which we weren't able to do because we had young children. So do bear that in mind if you are planning a trip here with kids, but it's just given us an excuse to visit again when they're a bit bigger.
It's great to drive, sort of just drive through the Lofoten Islands. Brilliant. And then the final drive north, so northern Scandinavia, we didn't know this, but we found out when we were there, is actually home to the indigenous Sami people. So this is all part of Sami country. If you want to know more about the Sami people, then we would recommend going to a town in Finland called Inari, where there's a fantastic Sami culture centre. It's really, really good.
There is. That was super fun. They have you can herd reindeer, pretend reindeer, shall I add. Mm-hmm. But it was quite competitive, wasn't it? And I managed to get the first one.
Yeah,
so that was
very
good.
Disappointing.
But speaking of reindeer, you will see reindeer everywhere you go once you're up the top of Norway. You'll see them at the side of the road, on the hillsides, and you'll see them in the road too. We've had a few occasions where we've had to almost stop completely because they're blocking our way, essentially. But it's really cool to see. So at this point, it took us 28 nights to reach the top of Norway, which is a very long way.
Yeah, so we covered around 4,000 kilometres there or thereabouts. And then we reached Nordkapp, as Kiri says, that's also called the North Cape. It's the highest point of continental Europe, unofficially, because there is actually officially somewhere you can walk to which is higher. And it's fantastic. There's a visitor centre there. You do have to pay to go in there. It's about 55 quid. There's a monument. The centre itself has a restaurant, souvenir shop, good museum, has this really cool light show as well, which is fantastic. And for us, that's part of the adventure. Trying to get to the top was brilliant. It's something we really enjoyed. Now, you might be able to see Kira's hair in this picture blowing a little bit. When we were there last year, it was blowing an absolute gale, and the man at the ticket office said, "Don't stay up here," because he's seen vans blow over. I don't know if he's joking or not, but he advised we go and park in one of the road tunnels, which we didn't do. We sort of had a look around the museum, and then we came back and found a really cool park up, overlooking the fjords. Reindeer were walking right past the doors. It was absolutely fantastic.
Right, so that's our trip in Norway. And just to give you a bit of context, we spent 2 nights in paid airs, 3 nights in campsites, and the rest, 23 nights, were wild camping or free. So it's really budget friendly for your camping fees, not so much your food, but that's another story, isn't it?
Yeah, so Norway's known for being a bit expensive, but the camping side of things, you can just park where you want to park, really, as long as you're respectful to the environment. And that's how we travel. We travel sort of budget friendly. We can't afford to stay at campsites all the time, and the campsites we stayed at this time was really for laundry, to get laundry done. And that's it. But if you do want to know more about the costs, then we've got a YouTube video on the costs of Norway, and you can find out, and we've broken down all the costs with fuel, LPG, food, and all that. So if you want to get an idea of how much we spent, go onto our YouTube and just have a look at that. And with that, that's the end of our presentation. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And we'll open up to questions.
Give them a round of applause, please, guys. Well done. Right, we'll take some questions, shall we?
Hi guys, just wanted to know, was it dog friendly in Norway?
Yeah, it's very dog friendly. As long as you remember to get them tapeworm treated before you go in, then yeah, it's fantastic. There's plenty. There's huge amounts of nature and wild spaces out there that you can walk them, and endless hikes.
It was about 30 quid, you said, for the tapeworm.
Yeah, we paid about 30 quid in Denmark. Yeah.
Wonderful. Who else got some questions? Anyone? Another one back here. Chat camera, I think.
Thanks. How much was the campsites there? Were they really expensive, or?
I think they were a little bit pricey. I remember we stayed at one at Garanga, and depends what you call expensive, I guess, but I think that was about £35 a night. So not when the food is a lot more expensive, the campsites don't sort of end up being a lot more expensive, if that makes sense.
And that campsite was pretty rough
It wasn't,
as well. They had a lot of
yeah.
rain, and everyone had sort of made the whole thing a mud bath, basically.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Your first thing people say when you mention Norway is that it's expensive.
Yeah.
And we've just been up there. Denmark, Norway was quite expensive on some of the
Yeah.
campsites. So yeah, it is. More questions, guys? Anyone any more questions? Here we go. Another one over here.
What's the best time of year, in your opinion, to go there?
Well, the first time we went over there, I think, was June, July.
It was July.
And the second time was August. So Norway's known for having all the seasons in one day. Obviously, in the middle of winter, you're going to be challenged. A lot of the mountain passes get closed for the winter. So I would say summer, end of spring, summer, early autumn is probably the best time. And that's, if you go to the north, that's home to the midnight sun, so the sun will never set. And obviously, if you go in winter, there is no sun.
Any more questions? Right, we've got a few over here. Here's a troublemaker.
What were the cost of the toll roads like?
Were
Well,
there any?
No, there were a couple of toll roads. It took quite a while for the bill to come through.
Oh,
I can't
that's
actually
right, yeah.
remember.
It came through in the post, but
What was
yeah.
it? I honestly can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it's within our video on toll roads. We've broken that down.
Another one just over here.
Yeah, hi. My question's about the tolls as well. I wasn't here for your talk, so I don't know if you covered it or not, but did you have a Pro Biz on the dash, the little electronic toll payment?
We didn't, did we? No.
No. You can register on a website called eTolls, I think it is.
Yeah,
It's
or
eTolls.
also Toll Pass or something like that.
And then we just, a couple of months later, we got a bill through the post, and then we just paid it.
We was out there 3 weeks ago. I still haven't had our bills. We were
Yeah.
still
Another
waiting.
couple of months, you'll have it.
Right. Any more questions, guys? Let's see anyone. Any more questions over here?
Was 28 days comfortable, or was you pretty rushed, or a good amount of time?
So driving, I think to drive that route is about 70 hours. So it's like average 2.5 hours a day. So like for us, we could spend a year in Norway. We love the place.
If we could afford it.
Huh?
If we could afford it.
If we could afford it, yeah. So with kids, you do have to balance that driving and how far you want to drive in a day. And
But I would add that the first time we went, we did that trip much quicker. So we did it was just over 2 weeks, wasn't it?
I
Like
think so,
really
yeah.
fast. And so we learnt that time that it was too fast, and we wanted to take it in a bit better this time, which is why we give ourselves more time, two extra weeks.
if you're restricted on time, I would say stick to the southern fjords. They're absolutely stunning. It's a very long way to drive all the way up to the top. So, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Question.
What's your favourite part about travelling?
Our favourite part about travelling is being together as a family. That's what we like. Yeah.
Yeah, later.
Being together as a family. Another one over here.
What resources are you using for homeschooling? Are you part of a network, or are you just winging it?
We're just winging it at the minute. Yeah, we're following the national curriculum for maths and English, and a little bit of the science, but everything else we let the kids lead. They choose their topics. So Piper's really interested in oceans, so we spent a lot of time learning about oceans. And yeah, we just sort of follow the books mostly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions, guys? Oh, it's still coming in. Fantastic. We'll get through in a sec.
Where are you guys going next?
So we are going to be based in the UK for the next few months because we're actually going to be converting a lorry. So our van is a little bit on the smaller side for permanent living. So we're going to be converting a lorry this summer. And then once that's ready, we'll be selling the van. And we're hoping probably to head down to Morocco.
Yeah.
Morocco, that's where we're going this summer. We've got one over here.
How do you feel the children have adapted to not being in school? Because we're thinking about doing the same for a year. Were they okay? Did they miss their friends? Things like that.
Yeah, I think
that we need to be
the first couple of weeks, there's a little bit of can we go back? now they don't even mention school.
Yeah.
You know, so I
It's
think
just a few weeks to a month of like just mentioning friends' names, but we don't really hear much of that anymore, and it's
No.
just they've adjusted really well.
Yeah. And make sure when you're planning your route, plan for your kids as well as yourself. So don't go to all the museums that they're not going to understand and you know, find boring. It's having that balance. But no, they've adapted well.
Sorry, anything else?
Are there opportunities for the children to socialise with other children along the route?
Sometimes it's very difficult because there are other families doing it, but there's not a lot of other families doing it, and often you'll be on different travel paths, so trying to meet up is quite difficult because you're all going in different directions. So we have met up with a couple of families a few times, but it's mostly by chance, isn't it? Yeah. It's not been organised so far, but it obviously is something that we'd like to do more of with the kids and arrange some meetups and that sort of thing.
Any more questions? Are we done? One over the far side. Whilst I'm walking, you might want to pull out your phones and scan this QR code and subscribe to their channel.
You said that the roads in Norway were quite dubious. How would they be in a bigger vehicle?
Interesting.
Good.
Yeah. No, the first time we were out there, we were in a 7-berth motorhome, so that was 7.5 meters long. There are some single tracks. You have to plan carefully. The first time we was out, we went to the island of Senja in the north, and there was a road tunnel, a single track road tunnel with passing places in the tunnel. That was pretty dodgy. And the time I had to reverse down a mountain pass to let another motorhome past was dodgy. But no, other than that, the road systems in Norway I find are brilliant. I love it. Keeps you on your toes.
Any more questions? Well, we take a hat off to you because Lindsay and I couldn't do the homeschooling, so well done. But give them a round of applause, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You good?
Thank you.